how's it going? I'm out in the greenhouse sitting next to my beautiful rhubarb plant. It's actually 3 plants planted in a great big giant pot. And this video is going to be a little bit different because I do want to talk about rhubarb, especially for those of you who have never grown it or you're just interested in growing it. I want to talk about when to harvest it and those kind of things, but I'm also going to do a little cooking. So when I initially planted this rhubarb, it was early spring and it looked nothing like this. Like, they were in little 1-gallon peat pots. They had tiny little red nubs sticking out of the ground, and they've put on a tremendous amount of growth. So I'm not going to be harvesting a ton today, but just enough to make a strawberry rhubarb crisp, which I mentioned in that video, and a lot of you guys wanted either a cooking video on it or you wanted to know the recipe, so that's what we're going to do today. So let me show you a closer look at the rhubarb. So here it is. There are 3 of them planted in this large black clay pot. If we get in, look at these leaves, aren't they amazing? If we get in closer, you can kind of see the 3 separate plants. We've got one right here. There's this one which looks really good, really full. And then there's one on the other side. And this variety is called Victoria, which is just kind of an old-timey, really reliable variety that does really well for us in Zone 5 high desert. So you may have read or have heard from other people who grow rhubarb that you should wait a couple of years after you initially plant it to harvest anything. And I do somewhat agree with that, but I do think it's okay to go in and harvest just enough for a recipe or 2 for those first couple of years, and then after that you can do some heavier harvesting. Like today, I'm just going to be harvesting a handful of stalks, and it shouldn't hurt the plant whatsoever. And also, rhubarb is kind of a spring crop. I mean, it's technically ripe and ready to harvest all the way through a frost, but it's a really good idea to not harvest super heavy after a certain point of the year so that that plant can kind of sit and establish and send a lot of energy into creating really good roots so that it has a lot of energy stores for the coming winter. So typically for most areas, people stop harvesting around June, July. But again, I think it's okay to go in and harvest just sparingly if you just want to do a recipe here or there. And the other rule of thumb is to only harvest stalks that have reached about 10 inches. So if we come in here, you can see like this littler, kind of more wimpy stalk here. It's probably over 10 inches, but I'm going to be going for stalks that are a little bit thicker, like this one right here. Look at how long that one is. That one's really nice and long. So that's what I'm going to be taking, and probably only 2, maybe 3 from each plant. And harvesting is super easy. There's really nothing to it. All you have to do is grab the stalk and then kind of gently rock it back and forth and tug, and it should come right off the base of the plant. You can also use a pair of pruners if you want to and just get as close to the base as you can. I like to just pull them off. So let me try to set the camera up and show you. All right, so this is the one we want to take right here. So I'm just kind of rocking it back and forth and popping it off the base of the plant. So it should come off hopefully a little cleaner than that, but that's not a big deal. This is where you want it to pop off the plant, right there. So this is the next one right here. We'll do it one more time. And it just pops right off. So I need about 4 cups of rhubarb for this recipe, so I think I'm going to take about maybe 6 or 7 stalks in total. So this is really what it should look like when it comes off the base of your plant right there. And these all look pretty good. So the Victoria variety usually starts off just a tiny bit pink, and then the rest of the stalk is green. So before I take all of my rhubarb inside, I'm going to take the leaves off because they are super poisonous. You don't want anybody eating these, including animals. So only put them in a compost bin that no animals have access to. I remember growing up, I could not put anything like this, or delphiniums, larkspur, monkshood. All of that stuff had to just be thrown away because we had a compost pile in our pasture that the cows always had access to, so we had to be very careful. But it's easy. I'm just going to take my snips, which I brought out, and I'm going to cut the stalk right below the leaf, like this. So I'm just left with a nice looking rhubarb stalk. Looking good. So I've got all of my rhubarb right here, and I don't have any of my own strawberries that are ripe yet. I do have some planted, but we're just a little bit too early, and the store had some pretty good looking ones this morning, so I picked some up from there. But on our way into the house, I'm gonna stop off at my pot full of mint. I'm also gonna make some mint iced tea while I'm at it. So I'm just gonna cut a little bunch of this mint to use in my tea. We We should probably check on the chickens too while we're out here. I need to open their window. Hey chickies. Hey there. Are you enjoying your cantaloupe treat? Or are you just enjoying making a huge mess of your food? Get some airflow going in here. This one's always open. And we currently have a broken pane of glass up there, so we have excellent airflow. Hey. I did add one higher roost, and I'm going to move all of these up off the ground, but I'm just waiting a couple days because we're gonna have some electricity run in here, and I'm gonna have to remove all of this stuff anyway just for a few hours so that can be done. So I really didn't want to get all that work done and then have to remove them and put them back. So anyway, we will work on that. And the nesting boxes, I have yet to close them off, but I will be doing that so that they don't sleep in the boxes. There's one in there right now. Oh, what a sleepy little chick. We still have quite a bit of work to do yet on the chicken coop. That's why I haven't done an update yet. It's pretty much status quo. I did add one higher roost in there like you saw, but I haven't moved the ones up higher off the ground yet because we still have some work that has to be done this week in there, and everything is gonna have to be removed out of the middle anyway. So I thought, you know what, we'll just leave them like that for a couple days, get the work done, and then I'll work on actually installing some proper roosts that are high enough for the birds. But they seem really happy. It's so much fun. Benjamin loves them. I love to go out here. Like, I go check on them like 10 times a day. And I just sit in there and I talk with them. I don't know, I feel kind of like a nerd. But anyway, it's so much fun. And I honestly do not know how this next part of the video is gonna go because I'm not gonna use any fancy equipment. I do not have Aaron's help with this video. And I'm gonna be inside where the lighting is usually kind of bad, but you guys will get the idea. It's all about the recipe anyway, right? Okay, so I have the oven preheated to 350 degrees, and then I'm gonna start steeping the tea first. So that's going kind of while I'm mixing up everything for the crisp. And kind of the whole reason why I wanna make this tea today is because I just found this super cute vintage pitcher and glass set at an antique store, and I really wanted an excuse to use it. So I filled up my pot with water, and I'm just going to put 6 Lipton tea bags down in here along with the mint, and we will just put it on medium heat for just a little while. And then there's everything I need to make the crisp sitting right here on my island. Let me hover over the recipe because I'm sure you guys could just pause this video right here, and if you can read my handwriting, you could just make this thing without watching the video. But we're gonna do this anyway. So here are the strawberries that I got at the store this morning. They look pretty good. And the rhubarb I just harvested. I did go ahead and grab a couple extra stalks just in case. I can freeze what I don't use. And then the remaining ingredients are flour, sugar, cinnamon, oats, brown sugar, butter, and salt. So we'll make the filling first. So all I need to do is core the strawberries and cut them in half. And then I'm gonna cut my rhubarb stalks into about 1/2-inch size pieces. And then we mix all of that together. So 4 cups of the rhubarb, 2 cups of halved strawberries, and a 1/2 cup sugar. We mix that together in a bowl, and then we put it in our 2.5 quart baking dish. So 4 cups of rhubarb, 2 cups of strawberries, then a 1/2 cup of sugar. And I cut up a few too many strawberries, so I'm gonna add a couple more in here. So here's our baking dish, and I'm just gonna pour the filling in. And I know a 1/2 cup of sugar seems like quite a lot for the filling, but you really do need it because the rhubarb is pretty tart, and there's a lot more rhubarb than there is strawberries in this filling. The next step is really simple. We're just gonna make a crisp topping. So it's 1 cup of flour, 1/2 cup of oats, 1/3 cup of both regular sugar and brown sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and the recipe calls for 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, but I like to do about 3/4 teaspoon, and then a 1/2 cup of melted butter. So we're gonna stir all of those things together until they kind of form a nice crumbly texture, and then we'll layer it all over the top of the filling. So now I'm gonna throw it in the oven for about 35 to 40 minutes at 350 degrees, and I will test it at about 30-35 minutes. I'll test the rhubarb with a toothpick, and when it seems like it's tender, that's when I know the crisp is done. While the crisp is baking, I'm gonna get my tea ready. So I'm gonna strain this mixture into my pretty new pitcher, and then whatever space is left over, I'll just fill the rest of it with plain water. Oh, yummy. It smells so good. It's just fresh out of the oven, so we're gonna let it sit here and cool off for a little while. And the tea is in the refrigerator cooling off as well, so we're gonna head outside and get some projects done while these things are both cooling off. You excited to eat it?
Can we have some now?
No, it's too hot. So Aaron and I just finished running a bunch of drip line over on the west side of the house. That's the project we were working on while everything cooled off. I brought it all out here because it's such a nice evening, and I think everything's gonna taste even better because of all the work we just did. So I just wanted to show you kind of the end result. I think Aaron already got into the crisp in one corner. We'll have to see. So here's the tea. I just love these glasses. I cannot wait to drink out of one for the first time. Isn't that pretty? Oh, I love it. And the crisp. And yes, Aaron already got into it a little bit, but that's okay. So it is kind of a juicy crisp because of all of the strawberries in there, but it's so, so tasty and really good with like cinnamon ice cream or strawberry ice cream. So I'm just gonna scoop a big bunch of it out. Isn't that pretty? I think it's pretty. It's super tasty, and I'm gonna get Aaron and Benjamin out here as soon as I'm done with this video. So thank you for hanging out. I know this was a little bit of a mixed bag. I hope that the information at the beginning about the rhubarb was helpful. And then maybe the next time we do any kind of cooking video, Aaron will be involved and we'll have all of our good cameras and lighting and all that stuff out so that it actually looks good. I have no idea how it ended up turning out, but I hope that you guys were able to kind of just see what the recipe was. That was the whole point. I just wanted to show that to you guys, show you what it looks like in the end, and now we're going to enjoy it. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.